Horatius hath the bridge, by Thomas Babington Macaulay. Lars per St. Clusium, by the 9 gods he swore, that the great house of Tarquin should suffer wrong no more. By the 9 gods he swore it, and named a trysting day, and bid his messengers ride forth, east and west and south and north, to summon his array. East and west and south and north the messengers ride fast, in town and cottage have heard his trumpets blast. Shame on the false Etruscan, who lingers in his home, when poor Cinna of Clusium is on the march for Rome. The horsemen and the footmen are pouring in main, from many a stately marketplace, from many a fruitful plain, from many a lonely hamlet, which hid by beech and pine, like an eagle's nest hangs on a crest of purple Apennine. From lordly Volaterrae, whose scowl the far pen hold, piled by the hands of giants, for godlike kings of old. From Seeger Populonia, whose sentinels descry Sardinia's snowy mountain tops fringing the southern sky. From the proud mart of Pise, queen of the western waves, where ride Massilia's triremes, heavy with fair-haired slaves. From our sweet Clonus wanders, through corn and vine and flowers. From our Cortana lifts to heaven her diadem of towers. Tall are the oaks whose acorns drop in dark Archer's hill. Fair are the stags that champ the boughs of the Ciminian hill. Beyond all streams Clytemnus is to the herdsman dear. Best of all pools of fire loves in the great Volsinian mere. But now no stroke of woodsman is heard by Oscar's hill. No hunter tracks the Saturn path up the Ciminian hill. Unwatched along Clytemnus graces milk-white steer, and harmed the waterfowl may dip in the great Volsinian mere. The harvest of Oricium this year old men shall reap. This year young boys of Umbro shall plunge their struggling sheep, and in the vats of Luna this year the musk shall foam, round the white feet of laughing girls whose sires in March Jerome. The harvest of there'll be 30 chosen prophets, the wisest of the land, who always by Lars Priscilla both morn and evening stand. Evening and morn the 30 have turned the verses o'er, truth from the right, on linen white the mighty seers of yore. And with one voice the 30 have the glad answer given, go forth, Lars Priscilla, go forth, beloved of heaven. Go and return in glory to Clusium's royal dome, and hang round Nature's altars the golden shield of Rome. And now hath every city sent a pertale of men, the foot are fourscore thousand, the horse are thousand sen. Before the gates of Sutrium is met the great array, was a proud man called Lars Priscilla upon that trysting day. For all Etruscan armies were ranged beneath his eye, and many a banished Roman, and many a stout ally,
With a mighty
following to join the muster came the Tusculan Mamilius, prince of the Latian name. But by the yellow Tiber was tumult and affright. From all the spacious campaign to Rome took their flight. A mile around the city the throng stopped up the ways. A fearful sight it was to see through 2 long nights and days. For age, folks on crutches, and women great with child, and mothers sobbing over babes that clung to them and smiled, and sick men borne on litters, hind the necks of slaves, and troops of sunburned husbandmen reaping hooks and staves, and droves of mules and asses laden with skins of wine, and endless flocks of goats and sheep, and endless herds of kine, and endless trains of wagons that creaked beneath the weight of corn sacks and of household goods towards every roaring date. Now from the rock Torpian could the wanderer spy a line of blazing villages red in the midnight sky. The fathers of the city, they sat all night and day. For every hour some horsemen came with tidings of dismay. To eastward and to westward have spread the Tuscan bands. No house nor French nor dovecote in Crustumerium stands. For Bennett down to Ostia hath wasted all the plain. Ostra stormed Janiculum and stout guards are slain. I wist all the Senate. There was no hearse so bold, but sore it ached and fast it beat when that one news was told. Forthwith uprose the consul, uprose the fathers all. In haste they girded up their gowns and hied them to the wall. They held the council standing before the river gate. Short time was there, you may well guess, for musing or debate. As spake the consul roundly, the bridge must straight go down, for since Janiculum is lost, naught else can save the town. And near, just then a scout came flying, all wild with haste and fear. To arms, Sir Consul, Lars Priscilla is here. On the low hills to westward, the consul fixed his eye, and saw the swarthy storm of dust ride fast along the sky. And nearer, fast and passing nearer, doth the wood whirlwind come, and louder still and still more loud. Underneath that whirling cloud is heard the trumpets whirl proud, the trampling and the hum. And plainly and more plainly now through the gloom appears, far to the left and far to the right, the broken gleams of dark blue light, the long array of helmets bright, the long array of spears. And plainly and more plainly above their glimmering line, now might ye see the banners of the 12 fair cities shine. But the banner of proud Clusium is the highest of them all. The terror of the Umbrian, the terror of the Gaul, the terror. And plainly and more plainly, now might the bearers know, by port and vest, by horse and crest, he tore like Luke and Mo. There Clanius of Horatius on his fleet run was seen, and Auster with the fourfold shield, girt with brand and else my wheel, Tolumnus with the belt of gold, dark for Bena from the hold by reedy Thrasimene. Fast by the royal standard, overlooking all the war, large percent of Clusium, sat in his ivory car, and by the right wheel rode Mamilius, Prince of Latium by name, and by the left wheel flows false Sextus, that wrought the deed of shame. And when the face of Sextus was seen among the foes, yell that rent the firmament of all the town arose. On the housetops was no woman that spat toward him and hissed, no child but screamed out curses and shook its little fist. Hew down the bridge, no. But the consul's brow was sad, and the consul's speech was low, and darkly looked he at the wall, and darkly at the foe. Their van will be upon us before the bridge goes down, and if they once may win the bridge, what hope to save the town? Then out spake brave Horatius, the captain of the gate, to every man upon this earth death cometh sooner or late, and how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? And for the tender mother who dondled him to rest, and for the wife who nurses her baby at his breast, and for the holy maidens who feed the eternal flame that might save them from false Sextus that wrought the deed of shame. Horatius, hew down the bridge, Sir Consul, with all the speech you may, and I with two more to help me will hold the foe and play. And yon straight past 1,000 will well be stopped by 3. Now who will stand on either hand and keep the bridge with thee? And out spake Spirus Lartius, a Romanian proud was he. And I will stand at thy right hand and keep the bridge with thee. And out spake strong Hermanus, of Titan blood was he. Lo, I will abide on thy left side and keep the bridge with thee. Horatius, quoth the consul, as I say, so let it be. And straight against that great array forth went the dauntless 3. For Romans and Rome's quarrel, neither span nor land nor gold, nor son nor wife, nor limb nor wife, in the brave days of old. Then none was for the party, then all were for the state. The great man helped the poor, and the poor man loved the great. And lands were fairly portioned, and spoils were fairly sold. Romans were like brothers in the brave days of old. Now Roman is to Roman more hateful than a foe, and the tribunes bear the high, and the fathers grind the low. As we wax hot in faction, in battle we wax cold, wherever men fight not as they fought in the brave days of old. The 3 stood. Now while the 3 were tightening the harness at their backs, the consul was the foremost man to take in hand an axe. And fathers mixed with commons, seized hatchet, bar, and crow, and smote upon the planks below, and loosed props below. And what's the props? Meanwhile, the Tuscan army, right glorious to behold, came flashing by the noonday light, rank behind rank like surges bright on a broad sea of gold. 400 trumpets sounded a peal of warlike glee, as our great host with measured tread and spears advanced and inside spread rolled slowly towards the bridge's head where stood the dauntless 3. The 3 were calm and silent and looked upon the foes, and a great shout of laughter from all the vanguard arose. And 3 chiefs came spurring before that deep array. To earth they sprang, their swords they drew, and lifted high their shields and flew to win the narrow way. And honest from Grin to Fernum, lord of the hill and vines, and Cyrus to the 800 slaves, sicken in Ilva's mines, and Picus long to Clusium, and vassal in peace and war, who led to fight his Umbrian powers, girt with Crag, the fortress of Niewect and Lowers of the pale waves of Nar. Stout Lartius hurled down Amos into the stream beneath. Herminius struck down Cyrus and clove him to the teeth. Apicius, brave Horatius, darted one fiery thrust, and the proud Umbrian's gilded arms clashed in the bloody dust. Then Agnus of Falerii rushed on the Roman three, and Lausolus of Urgo, rover of the sea, and Arns of Alcinian, who slew that great wild boar, the great wild boar that had his den amidst the reeds of Cussus Fen and wasted fields and slaughtered men along Albinia's shore. Herminius smote down Agnus, Herminius smote down Arns, Lartius lay Agnus low, right to the heart of Lausolus Horatius sent a blow. Lie there, he cried, fell, pirate, no more, aghast and pale. To Osse's walls the crowd shall mark the track of thy destroying bar. Then no more companions high shall fly to woods and caverns when they spy the thrice accursed sail. And now no shout of laughter was heard among the foes, a wild and wrathful clamor rose. A wild and wrathful clamor was from all the vanguard arose. 6 spears length from entrance halted that deep array, and for a space no man came forth to win the narrow way. But hark, the cries auster, and lo, the ranks divide, and the great Lord of Luna comes with his stately stride, and upon his ample shoulders clings loud the fourfold shield, and in his hand he shakes the brand which none but he can wield. He smiled on those bold Romans, a smile serene and high. He eyed the flinching Tuscans, and scorn was in his eye. Quoth he, the she-wolf flitter stands savagely at bay, but will he dare to follow if Auster clears the way? Then whirling up his broadsword with both hands to the height, he rushed against Horatius and smote with all his might. With shield and blade Horatius right deftly turned the blow. The turn came yet too nigh, it missed his helm but gashed his thigh. The Tuscans raised a joyful cry to see the red blood flow. He reeled in on Herminius, he leaned one breathing space. Then like a wildcat mad with wind sprang right at Auster's face. Through teeth and skull and helmet, so fierce a thrust he sped, the good sword stood a handbreadth out behind the Tuscan's head. And the great Lord of Luna fell at that deadly stroke, as falls on Mount Avernus a thunder-smitten oak. For o'er the crashing forest the giant arms lie spread, and the pale augurs muttering low gaze out on the blasted head. On Auster's throat Horatius right firmly pressed his seal, and thrice and 4 times tugged in vain, ere he wrenched out the steel. And see, he cried, the welcome, fair guests that wait ye here, when noble Luca Mo comes next to taste our Roman cheer. But at his haughty challenge, a sullen murmur rang, mingled of wrath and shame and dread along that glittering fan. There lacked nor man of prowess, nor man of lordly race, for all a Troy's noblest were round the fatal place. For all a Troy's noblest felt the heart sink to see, on the earth the bloody corpses, and the path the dauntless three. And from the ghastly entrance, from those bewildered Romans stood, a shank-like boys who unaware, ranging the woods to start a hare, come to the mouth of dark glare, where glowering low a fierce old bear lies amidst bones and blood. It was none who would be foremost to lead such dire attack, and those behind cried forward, and those before cried back, and backward now and forward, where was that deep array, right? And to and fro the standards reel, the victorious trumpet peals dies fitfully away. Yet one man for the moment stood out before the crowd, while none was he to all the 3, and they gave him greeting loud. Now welcome, welcome, Sextus, now welcome to thy home. Why dost thou stay and turn away? Here lies the road to Rome. And thrice looked he at the city, thrice looked he at the dead, and thrice came on in fury, and thrice turned back in dread, and white with fear and hatred scowled at the narrow way, where lying in a pool of blood the bravest Tuscans lay. But meanwhile, axe and lever have manfully been plied, and now the bridge hangs tottering above that boiling tide. Come back, Horatius, loud cried the fathers all. Back, Lartius, back, Herminius, back to error, ruin the fall. Back darted fierce Lartius, Herminius started back, and as they passed beneath their feet, they felt the timbers crack. And as they turned their faces and on the farther shore, they saw brave Horatius stand alone. They would have crossed once more. But with a crash like thunder fell every loosened beam, and like a dam the mighty wreck fell right athwart the stream, fell right athwart the ship. And a long shout of triumph was from the walls of Rome, as to the highest turret tops was splashed the yellow foam. And like a horse unbroken when he first feels the rein, the furious river struggled hard and tossed his tawny mane. Burst the curb and bounded, rejoicing to be free. The fierce, whirling down a fierce career, battlement and plank and prior rushed headlong to the sea. Alone stood brave Horatius, but constant still in mind. Thrust 30,000 foes before, and the broad flood behind. Down with him, cried false Sextus, with a smile on his pale face. Now yield thee, cried large Priscilla, now yield thee to our grace. Round turned he as not deigning those craven ranks to see. Not spake he to large Priscilla, to Sextus not spake he. But he saw in Paultinius the white porch of his home, and spake to the noble river that rolls by the towers of Rome. O Tiber, Father Tiber, to whom the Romans pray, O Romans' life and Romans' arm, take thou in charge this day. So he spake, sheathed the good sword by his side, and with the harness on his back, he plunged headlong to the tide. But now no joy or sorrow was heard from either bank, and friends and foes in dumb surprise and parted lips and straining eyes stood gazing where he sank. But when above the searches they saw his crest appear, all Rome sent forth a rapturous cry, even the ranks of Tuscany could scarce forbear to cheer. But fiercely ran the current, swollen high by the months of rain, and fast his blood was flowing, and sore was he in pain. And heavy was his armor, spent with changing blows. The furious river, and heavy with his armor, and oft they thought him sinking, but still again he rose. Never a ween did swimmer in such an evil case, struggle through such a raging flood, safe to the landing place. But his limbs were borne up bravely by the brave heart within, and our good Father Tiber bore bravely up his chin. And now he feels the bottom. Curse on him, quoth false Sextus, will not the villain drown, but close this day where we should have sacked the town. Heaven help him, cried large Priscilla, and bring him safe to shore, for such a gallant feat of arms was never seen before. And now he feels the bottom, and on dry earth he stands, and round him throng the fathers to press his gory hands. And with shouts and clapping and noise of weeping loud, he enters through the river great, borne by the joyous crowd. They gave him of the cornland that was a public right, as much as two strong oxen could plow from morn till night. They made a molten image and set it up on high. And there it stands unto this day to witness, if I lie. It stands in the comitium for all plain folk to see, Horatius in his harness, halting upon one knee, and underneath is written in letters all of gold, how valiantly he kept the bridge in the brave days of old. And still his name sounds stirring unto the men of Rome, as the trumpet blast that cries to them to charge the Volsinian home. And why so pray to Juno with boys' hearts so bold, as his who kept the bridge so well in the brave days of old? And in the nights of winter, when the cool north winds blow, and the long howling of the wolves is heard amidst the snow, where around a lonely cottage is heard the tempest den, roars loud the tempest den, and the good logs of algae dust roars louder yet within. When the oldest cask is open, and the largest lamp is it, when the chestnuts glow in the embers, and the kid turns on the spit. When young and old encircle around the fire burns close, And girls are weaving baskets, and lads are shaping bows. When the good man mends his armor and trims his helmet's plume, when the good wife shuttle merrily goes flashing through the loom. With weeping and with laughter, still is the story told, how well Horatius kept the bridge in the brave days of old.